Hey, good evening. I am CoCA's volunteer publishing agent, Ray C. Freeman III, and on behalf of CoCA Board President Eddie Reed, and CoCA Executive Director Royal Ali Barnes, who are indulging me in this little experiment, welcome to the CoCA Book Club's second episode. We hope to have eliminated some of the glitches we experienced last month by upgrading some of our technology. It's always an experiment. Tonight, we turn to the 2011 publication, Unsanctioned, which was based on a project conjured up by tonight's guests, Jodie Nelson and Michele Osgood. Artist John Osbgood will be joining us as well. At the time, Jodie was a CoCA board member and a drawing assistant and fine art print specialist for Dale Chihuly, following a stint as gallery director at Friesen Gallery. Jodie's studies in museology from the UW has led her to much success in the art world, including programming at Chihuly Studios and being hand-selected by the Museum of Glass to narrate sold-out hot shop events. More recently, Jodie has launched an online initiative entitled The School at Press Range, where she employs her expertise and experiences as an art world veteran to connect artists with strategies to elevate their careers and assist art lovers in expanding their knowledge of art. Hi, Jodie.
Hi, Ray.
Hey.
Hey, Michele. Hi, John. Hi, everyone.
Hey there. All right. So in 2011, Michele and John were running Be Heard Gallery, CoCA's partner in this project, opened in 2007 to bring attention to the underserved urban contemporary art movement by exhibiting an emerging group of artists. As a volunteer with the Greenwood Finney Chamber and Art Up Finneywood Art Walk, she worked to build community by fostering a stronger partnership between businesses and artists. All this on top of a full-time job as a director of marketing and business development for Simon's Properties. After taking a turn as a CoCA board member as well, Michele has now leveraged her professional experience to serve as the full-time marketing and operations manager for California Mural Art, the new business she started with John in the Bay Area, traveling and painting with John while still managing to find time to volunteer at her son's school on art and fundraising projects. Hello, Michele. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having us.
All right, now we're going to hear about John Osgood, who's a contemporary painter, muralist, and illustrator who was born, raised, and lived most of his life in the Seattle area, and for the past 5 years is now residing in the San Francisco Bay Area. He has painted murals up and down the West Coast, specifically in the San Francisco Bay Area, Greater Portland, and Seattle areas. But more importantly to us tonight, John was one of the participants in Unsanctioned. More about that later. Good evening, John.
Salutation.
Hey, all right. Well, I'm gonna get going, and we'll be back to you with some very specific. Jodie, could you start us off by telling us a little bit about the event-based aspect of the project, the collaborative mural, and the art opportunity that was erected in the parking lot?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, tonight I have a little piece of the wall that everybody participated on too, but you know, really something like this just doesn't happen overnight. There's a whole lot of creative support that's happening. There's a lot of relationship building. But really, when we started really brainstorming to bring a little bit more about the outside in, we felt like, right, John and Michele, we felt like we needed to have some demonstrations. We felt like we needed to have the artist and the audience participate together. And Ray has been such an instrument in being able to help people realize their vision too, because oftentimes when I work with Ray on these events, he already sees them in like their full functionality. So we started really thinking how it was all going to work. And I see now, like, we have pictures of the mural, and we had an amazing party going on with the artists that were working on the side. So if we can picture this together, we had artists working on the mural that's located in Georgetown on the side of the Sandbox. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. And then also we had artists demonstrate what they were doing and kind of more their signature style working collaboratively.
I think we have a picture of that. There we go.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that typography and all those shadows. I mean, it really pops off, doesn't it? Oh, that's great. I'm so glad we have that.
Oh, there it is.
So
Yeah.
this was two simultaneous parts of the event kind of going on. One more planned and programmed, the other one where the artists were freely collaborating with each other.
Yeah, and to watch artists work collaborative together was fantastic with this one. I mean, we all had our hesitancies because it's all about how artists are feeling and what they think. And we had already put out some specifics on what everybody was going to work on, but the wall was a lot more freeform. Do you want me to talk more about that mural and how that came about working together with 179?
No, I don't have that, but we can go back to the mural or the 4 videos for a second here. Yeah.
Yeah, so to have a mural like this in such a huge part of a metropolitan city, it doesn't happen overnight either. So we kind of came together and wanted a wall. So we did this divide and conquer, right? CoCA went out and tried to find some walls that we could use, and John and Michele went out because that's their business. They're always looking for walls to activate. And John and Michele came back and said, we found a wall. What do you guys think? Can we use this wall for everything that we had in mind? And I mean, the stars really lined up because the wall was already in Georgetown. The gallery portion of the show was also going to be at CoCA's Georgetown exhibition space. And there was a huge area for us to continue the party and really have a huge event for the whole thing. So, I mean, John and Michele found this wall and the owners wanted to participate. So how could we say no?
Wow. So, hey, I wanted to just bring up another aspect of this, as long as you guys can't hear it, but the listening audience can hear DJ Zara DJing in the background. Gave me a CD of his performance that afternoon. So, yet another aspect of the show. There were so many different moving parts.
Right. There were so many moving parts, and to do something like this more democratically instead of just having one artist have the main idea and then try to fit everything in. I think Michele and 179 really came together and had a great plan to execute something like this. And 179, if you could start to see, took inspiration from the Great Wave, Japanese artists from the 1830s.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah,
I think I have some of those
everything
original
together.
layout plans that I'll try to put links to in the feed here, so people can have a look at. There was a lot of planning. It just didn't just happen. I have at least 2 generation plan documents. I've got copies of.
I'm sure all of that is in the archive. Michele, was there something that really stuck out in your mind too when 179 was being selected to help kind of lead all the other artists? Mainly, like leading.
Well, she already had a lot of, I guess I missed that. I might have talked over you.
No,
she had a lot of already. She already had a lot of experience working with youth artists, so she was helping pull together murals that were working with youth. So she really having that experience managing. I mean, almost 13 artists, I believe. I don't know if all of them participated in that one, but at least 12 artists participating and trying to, like you said, pull the design together and then figure out, how everyone can kind of have an equal kind of feature of their work that all work together is not easy. So,
All right. Well, we'll come back to that.
I loved how it turned out.
But Michele, I would like to turn to you for a second on a slightly different topic. We not only had this outdoor event, but there was an indoor event, and a gallery event, and you were also at the same time, running a gallery. So was the idea of bringing these otherwise outdoor artists indoors an extension of what you were doing at Be Heard at the time?
Definitely. Our main mission for Be Heard was to really highlight the emerging Pacific Northwest urban contemporary artists. So we felt like that was an underserved community that not a lot of people were showing and like educating other people on. Some, especially on aerosol artists, there's a lot of stigma of like, oh, you're a tagger or you're a vandal, you're vandalizing property. And aerosol is just a tool, it's a medium. Yes, people use it to tag, but they also use it to create art. And that was really important to us to highlight that and to
So what we're seeing on the screen
people.
now are examples of both outdoor art by the artists involved, and then the other pieces are actual physical, removable, movable, two-dimensional pieces that we brought into the gallery and showed. So these are examples of both. Yeah, it was, and in addition, what was the scoop with the collaborative wall? We brought some of that into the gallery as well, as I remember. Did you get me there? Anybody?
Is that for
Michele,
I
are you
didn't
still
hear
there?
her.
Or are you muted? So yeah, I was just asking
Yes.
about the what happened. I see that Jodie's got a piece of it behind her. So what was the deal there?
Oh,
There was the collaborative.
that we wanted to let the artists collaborate just free form. So we built a wall for a live event to do live painting and basically let people see what you can do with aerosol, and also let the artists have fun and just work with each
But I
other
guess
in a free form
the
way.
point I'm trying to make is that was almost a kind of a crossover piece in the sense that we then chopped it up and put it up in the gallery at the same time. Right?
Oh,
You know
yes,
what I actually
forgot about
see
Don
from
that.
wants to weigh in.
what I'm seeing from the piece
Yeah.
behind Jodie is like, man, do I have a little piece in there? But it actually looks like some of Zach Bonenkamp's work is in that. But then the magenta
John, let's go
stuff
back to
is
Jodie's
somebody
video.
else's. So what I'm
Go back
seeing
to
in that
Jodie's
piece,
video while John's talking about it here.
so what I'm seeing in there is like
Yeah, Jodie's
feed.
Jodie on the
So
main
the piece-
screen. Okay. There we go.
The thing that I'm seeing in that is like the thing that I'm seeing on that one is like how people work well with each other and draw from others' inspirations. Like if somebody's using a certain color and they're like working to your right of you and they come left, they're like, okay, how am I going to use that same color and use what they're doing to go around it? I see people working, adding, covering up, going over top. Those are the types of things as an artist out there that I would see like that part as, working and feeding off of other people's action. And
It was a
that's what I see.
surprisingly successful small scale representation of what happens out there in the real world, right? Yeah. And it made
Exactly.
for great freestanding pieces. I mean, that's beautiful, Jodie.
I think this particular part of the wall really spoke to me exactly what John was just explaining, because there are so many layers on here, particularly down here in this green area. And then really you can see through here. I mean, I think that this is like 5 or 6 layers up in here. And then I was able to get one with some typography. That one had to come home with me.
Who ended up with the big CoCA logo?
I thought CoCA did.
All right, I'll have to research that one further.
You know what?
Yeah,
I think CoCA did because we used it for future events.
I think we did.
We used it in the bar as a background.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can run down when that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or if it did. It's still hanging around somewhere.
Well, that wood was pretty good, so it might have been repurposed again.
Yeah. All right. So in the interest of equal time here, I want to give John a little space to comment on if it feels like it, on a minor controversy that went down during the painting of the mural. John, can you tell us what's happening here, or you're still maintaining that you have no recollection of these events? It was just a hot day.
I'll say both. How's that sound? Well, as an artist, and you're told to put down something that's not going to offend anybody. What offends someone might not offend somebody else. And as an artist, you're trying to express, what's happening at the time, and that person that was doing that piece put something out that dealt with hierarchy of position, money, class. I don't know, in a really neat fashion, and the person whose wall it was did not like it as much, so they expressed their feelings about that, and the artist wasn't too psyched about it. So you're told to do one thing, and then you get sort of asked to restructure what you're doing, and it's never fun because you want to explain what you're feeling at the time, and that person thought that was the best action for him.
It's funny. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later because it came up in last month's episode about graffiti versus murals, the sort of illegal act versus legal act. And there's, part of it is related to what you're saying here. There's another segment about that. Let me just, we'll come back to that in a second, but I just want to reiterate now that, as part of what I'm doing with this book club is that I'm trying to show a connection between what gets published, what happened, and what the relevancy is of all of this. And one of the things that the publication does is it reminds us this is a three-pronged project, collaborative. There was a fourth prong. The book helped keep the show alive. The book itself was a little unusual in that I offered the opportunity to the artists to produce their own pages for the book. That's something I've never done on any other of the 50 catalogs I've done with CoCA. And, a good number of them responded and produced their own page layout, making the book itself, a real part of the project and not just a documentation of the project. And that's the way I always like to see it happen if I can. All right, well, here's the point. We've been talking about stuff that happened 10 years ago. So let's have a look at what's going on site now. I went out to the site with Jodie to have a look. So I'm here with Jodie Nelson at the mural in Georgetown.
That's what it is right there.
Behind us has been substantially changed.
Oh my God,
You guys can hear this, but let's be quiet while I talk. We came down here to do a retrospective on a 10-year-old mural. I came down and checked it out last week.
I was here in March.
And one of the things I noticed last week when I was here that there were a couple of new tags on the mural, and I thought that would make an interesting discussion because at the last show we talked a lot about murals and graffiti.
Yeah.
And how a lot of artists started out doing graffiti and evolved into murals, and we had kind of both going on here. We had a mural, we had some graffiti that was done as part of the mural.
As part of, we had a couple taggers,
couple of
writers come in
and so I was going to ask you the question that Milo brought up a sort of protocol among graffiti artists.
Yeah.
Which is that if you're going to tag over the top of someone's art, it has to be better. than what was underneath it.
Yeah.
So now looking at this huge gray wall behind us, would you say that's better?
That's not better.
It's not better.
That's not better.
That is definitely not
That
better.
is unactivated surface right there.
So how do you feel?
Well, I'm stunned, really. We worked so hard with the business owner to make all of that happen. CoCA was so proud to be part of the Seattle mural history. And I remember that we tried to write in into the contract, like a 15-year preservation clause, something like this was going to happen. And there, the budget went towards different terms instead of a 15-year. But at our 10-year anniversary, now we know.
Now we know. That's how long you get. I'll bet the day was like in between last week and this week. That was probably
days. We're talking practically hours from the last time we saw it, man.
Yeah. So, well, all right. Well, we'll get Michelle's take on this when we get back into the studio.
All right, stay tuned. Let's figure it out.
Okay. Thanks, Jody.
All right, Ray. Bye.
All right. Well, you guys saw what happened there. One of these days, I'll have this technology up to the point where you can hear when I play a video like that. But clearly, the visual speaks for itself. There's no mural.
Exactly. Yeah. When did that happen?
I understand.
Do we
It
know?
was I understand that it happened a couple of months ago. Now, at the time, and the viewers will hear me say that I thought I'd been there the week before, but I guess I had not. I talked to Larry Reed from Fantic Graphics, who said that obviously the tenant had moved out, Sandbox Volleyball, and the owner in there, cleaning up of the building for finding a new tenant, decided that was the best thing to do. I asked about how people were feeling about that. Larry made the point that it was pretty well tagged. Most of the bottom of the mural was not showing. Recently, 2 large coyotes had been painted over another huge chunk of the mural. So probably about a quarter of the content was visible. And he kind of felt like, well, it was, 10 years was a pretty good run. and that, it was mostly to get rid of the tags and the writing, My comment back to him was, the tags will be back, the mural won't.
Yeah, they will.
I was shocked.
Well, it had a good run.
Look,
Well, and now someone's going to have a blank canvas.
I have some information that I've just uncovered today related to Seattle's laws governing the disappearance of a commissioned mural. And I don't want to spread any rumors online, so we should talk about that offline, Jody. I'm not saying we're going to sue anybody. I'm just saying that there are some things that that probably should be done to help out with the situation. Anyway, to make it better. So look, let's say that's a downer. So let's go on. We talked quite a bit last month about the dichotomy between illegal acts of graffiti, where a lot of the artists from Juarez were originally involved, and the more legitimate business of mural painting that several of them are involved with now. The name of this show, Before Sanctioned, speaks to that. A lot of artists start in one place, end up in another place. John, is that a typical trajectory here as well? That artists start with graffiti, get their work known, make a name for themselves, and move on selling their services, painting murals, gallery work, whatever it might be. How does that relate to your personal experience?
That was not the way it was for me. I mean, I know a lot of people who have gone that route, and everybody who sees my work, I wouldn't say everybody, there's a good portion of people who do say, did you start in graffiti? I always tell them no. I started with watercolors and I did cartoons, and then those turned into oil paintings. And then I started drawing. And then it turned out I made a gift basket of beer for a girl, and I did a stencil of the word Pabst. And as I was spray painting Pabst, I had the spray paint in my hand, and then I just started spraying on canvas, and I was like, oh my God, this is so quick, this is fast. And at that time I was living in Queen Anne, and I was looking at Juxtaposed magazine, and I was a big fan of Jeremy Fish and David Cho, and just all these other people, Dave Kinsey. And I just saw an immediacy and a quickness to the spray paint that I was already using with I was using acrylics and oils, not like always together, but the spray paint just facilitated an aesthetic. And then I just started meeting people through using spray paint. And then after I met Michele, I met my buddies Kevin and Zach, and they took my training wheels off on spray paint and making murals, and then the whole world opened up. So that's how I got into using
So for
spray
you,
paint.
it wasn't the starting point.
And
It was
then
another media that caught your attention, that you decided, hey, I could do some cool stuff.
Exactly.
And
And then I felt the pressure of people going, "Oh, you're just tagging," and I'm like, why do you hate me just because I'm using spray paint? I'm still creating beautiful artwork,
So you've been through that. There's an interesting there's a social aspect, of course, that you don't necessarily have when you're painting by yourself in the gallery.
Yeah.
Positive and negative.
Exactly. Like Michele said it. There's a True.
Well, but I'm saying that there's also
with spray
side.
paint. Like you'll be working on a wall.
But you're not going to meet them sitting in your studio doing watercolors. So there's a positive social aspect, but then there's the stigma. Yeah.
No.
So,
another thing is when you do get out there and you're working with spray paint, you do get to meet the people who see you doing artwork, and then they're like, "Oh my God, this is great!" And then you meet all types of people on all social levels, and people take ownership of what you're doing and say, I live around this area, this is mine, and I really appreciate it, and I'm going to help you try to keep that going.
Yeah, I had to kind of maybe hope for a little bit more of that in Georgetown, but Jodie?
You know what? Yeah, that's exactly right. I live in the Central District, and John has a huge mural over at Pratt Fine Arts. So I see that, I don't know, 10 times a day. I mean, I see that all the time. And he also had another mural over, I think, on 23rd, right? 23rd, that orange one on the new constructed.
That one came down quick, though.
Now, are those commissioned murals, John? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes. I did the orange one was one of my first bigger pieces, which I was super excited to do. And then the one I did on Pratt, I did with Zach Bonenkamp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How did you transition into such large scale? I mean, just because you said you started in watercolors, which was so new to me. I didn't know you started in watercolors, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can see how that would be so helpful to blend in with the aerosol. But how was it for you transitioning in scale? Because your murals are large.
I had a list in Queen Anne just on a piece of paper, just like things I wanted to accomplish. And I didn't even know, this was before I was using spray paint. It says, I want to paint a painting that I have to use a roller and a nap. It's that big that I just can't sit there with a paintbrush. And that is around the time when I met Michele, and she was very helpful on helping me actualize my goals. And then when Michele and I came together, it just blew up. Like, how can we figure out how to make this Seattle area better, get more known? And when we started our gallery, that's when we started bringing all the like-minded people in, and we just started meeting people. That was one of the best things ever happened for my career, is just getting to know the community. And then it just grew and grew and got bigger and bigger. And then you just put your name out there, and next thing you know, you have fans. Yeah. I don't know. It's been a fun journey, but it started with that goal, and Michele saw it and helped me.
Michele, you took that
it grow
further
and
than
blossom.
just, showing work in a gallery. As far as I recall, there was this event, but there was other things that you became involved with as well that helped anchor this whole, coming onto CoCA's board. I know that you guys did some publications as well. So you were pretty active at Be Heard at that time. It was a big effort.
Yeah, we were putting out, we had Weave, a big event that we partnered with other galleries. We had a couple other galleries, Twilight and Sweet 100. And we combined our forces together to, because we had the commonality of similar aesthetics and a goal to highlight emerging artists in the Pacific Northwest. So it all worked really well together.
Were you a contemporary urban art fan before you met John?
He more introduced me to that style. I wasn't really, I've always been like, I think of myself as an art collector since I was a kid, because we would travel, but I loved folk art. And so anywhere that we would travel, I'd always pick up a piece, like either a small sculpture or a map, some kind of piece that would remind me of where I've been, but also, I thought of it as my art, and I had my art collection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. So again, this might be a little bit out of place now, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I think John has already answered it, and the answer is probably no. But I was going to ask you, when you're marketing in a different way. You're marketing for sort of what I would call commercial purposes, commissioned murals. Does that sort of history of a little bit of the street smart bad guy things still help out a little bit in that, or is that something you need to avoid?
Well, there certainly are people that you'll get every once in a while that are looking for specifically that street style aesthetic. So it does help that you have a little, that kind of background and that style, because John's work is really vibrant and obviously has the, aerosol street style feel to it. People like it because they feel like it, it's appealing to a lot of people, especially, kids on up. Everybody seems to enjoy it and embrace it a lot more than, years ago when it was just looked at as vandalism.
So, when you took off and started California Mural Art, what was the plan? You was you're doing now? Is it gone according to plan? Is this where you hoped it'd be right now?
Yeah, for when you think about an artist that wants to work full time as an artist, it's really hard to only have one thing that you do. And what we found is murals tend to be the bread and butter for our income. So it's more commercial. John doesn't always get to paint exactly what he wants. He has to work with clients, but between, our conversations, it's like he would much rather have a paintbrush or an aerosol can in his hand than having to go and find alternative work so that he can do other work and show in a gallery and do paintings and be in the studio.
Yeah. So Jodie, John mentioned that he always wanted to do this big. Part of it, even when he was doing watercolors, he had this idea that someday he would. Now he's doing these big pieces. I sense that is something, that a message that you might be talking to your clients about, the artists you work with? Have a plan. Is that part of your coaching? Part of what you work with people on is like figuring out what their plan is and executing.
It is totally my favorite part about what I do and how I help artists and how I connect artists with some strategies to help keep them on their plan. Any career, any plan is a giant creative process. So oftentimes the artists need to go for that first step on their plan, and then they can reevaluate. Okay, is this where I want to be? What did I learn from this so I can then keep going? Or do I need to go learn a little bit more about something else and then come back to the plan? It just really helps them keep on a track so they can track themselves, if you will, on whether or not this is still the plan for them. So yeah, I go with the plan and keep on going.
How do they know? Well, okay, so the plan obviously is goal-based, right? John had that goal. Let me switch this over to John. John, okay, so you met that goal. You're not an old man.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next goal?
Yes.
What's next?
No.
Just more murals, or is there something else over there on the wall that's still on your list that you haven't yet accomplished?
Well, murals are, like Michele said, the bread and butter, and it's the best way to get the artwork out there because it's in the public, it's in the community eye, and people get to see it in their everyday life. Not everybody goes into a gallery, and not everybody stops by my studio. So therefore, I get to put it out there in the world. If there was an easier way to do it, I would gladly do it. I mean, I'm showing in a couple galleries down here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but being able to get out and be in that community and talk to people, I mean, I'm always talking artwork, it's like somebody's like, oh, I just bought a house. I'm like, oh, have you furnished it? I do murals, I do artwork, sometimes I might get a little look from Michele like, really? You're doing this now? And I'm like, why not? So but as for goals, it's just more artwork, more murals. I love showing my son any little tips or tricks that I know to help him create artwork, because I feel like that's a tool that can get him ahead in the future.
Yeah, it kind of sounds to me like what you're saying. Your goal is to continue to develop all around. I mean, Michele brought up, murals are the bread and butter, but you're not completely satisfied with that. You want to keep pushing against other areas too. Some gallery work to get you out with people.
Yeah.
You kind of happen
when you type in John Osgood. When you type in John Osgood, I want to see my name and not Osgood Schlatters disease on Google. Okay. That's my goal right there.
All right. Good. Is there, you happened into spray paint. You just sort of happened upon it. Are there other media out there that you have not yet happened upon that might be in your future?
I mean, I love working in music, and I always tool around with computer stuff, but I'm painting or I'm drawing. That's what I do. And I don't get to it in a little bit, I start getting an itch.
You see where I'm going with this.
And
at the end of the show, when we all say goodbye, we're going to be entertained by John's music over the closing. So I'll give you a little to read those credits. Listen to a little John Osgood.
And I'm excited about that.
I think it's a piece called "Stab in the Dark." That I don't. Did you compose that specifically for this event, John? Or was that something you'd been working on?
I did some cutting and pasting. I added my own. I've done a few things on it, but
I could tell there was some cut.
Yeah,
believe me,
we'll just leave it.
We'll all be able to tell there was some cutting and pasting there. It's a pretty tracked recording. Yeah. All right. So, before we go, any closing thoughts on the show? Shall we do it again?
I would be down
Unsanctioned
to
Part 2?
Yeah, I would be down to collaborate again, Unsanctioned Part 2. And I think it's worth also mentioning, with John and Michele working so hard with their galleries, working with artists, and part of CoCA's mission is we have really seen a lot of the artists really blossom in their career. I mean, John for sure too has been able to go and have much more exciting things happen. Few and far, that collaborative group of women have 22,000 followers on Instagram. We've seen Jesse Edwards go on and work with Schnabel Gallery in New York. He was working with the gallery here in Seattle. We've seen Sneak do amazing murals all around town, even more. He's always looking for walls if anybody has one. What an Electric Coffin, Duffy over there. He and his brother have made some amazing things happen too. 179. I mean, all 13 of these artists, right? And Curtis. I mean, these are just ones at the top of my head. John, Michele, what do you think?
I think that
I'm so glad that
yeah. I mean, that's one of the.
Jodie's obviously still on top of the scene. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like John and I keep in touch with some artists, and to see them in and succeed and do the things that they're doing now, it's so fun and exciting, and it's really cool to have been a part of their early career.
Yeah, and it's really neat when you are able to get a hold of 179 and Carlos and Que Sera and be like, hey, I'm working on this project. What do you use for this? What do you think of that? What do you charge and stuff like that? So I definitely have a handful of people that worked in this show where I still get a hold of, and I ask them questions, and I'm not afraid to ask people questions on any level, and they usually get back to me right away. So it's a really neat community.
Super duper. Okay, well, look, Jodie, we're gonna have to get you back one of these to talk about the glam show, but I don't have that. I don't have that on the schedule right now. Next week we're going to be talking, or next month, I'm sorry, we're going to be talking with Kate Freeman and Kate Sweeney about painters who fucking know how to paint, and that ought to be an interesting conversation. We may have to, keep Kate Freeman under control.
Get those paintbrushes loaded.
Right. So anyway, that's we'll put that up on the CoCA Book Club website at cocaseattle.org/book club about when that show is coming up. But it's the last Wednesday of the month at 8:00. So thank you all for joining in. It's great to catch up. I will probably be in touch with Jodie mostly about the two things that we mentioned. One, the wall itself, and two, that whole notion of what could we do at this point in time? How would it be different? What would it be if there was something? But it's worth kicking around, huh?
It is, and with all the technology changes that have happened, and something really badass could happen again.
All right, we're going to listen to some John Osbgood now. So see you guys later. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
I gotta ask you, what is the purpose of those brushes?
No idea.
Well, I mean, if you had to take a stab in the dark.
Oh, I'd probably kill some.
I think I just always allowed myself the room to evolve as an artist and to change.
a stab in the dark.
No idea.
Let that be a warning to you all.
I know my dentures are cleaner than yours. I know.
What is the purpose of those brushes? I gotta ask you, what is the purpose of those brushes?
No idea.
Well, I mean, if you had to take a stab in the dark.
Oh, I'd probably kill you.
A stab in the dark. And now.
How did you make the journey from painting on the street to painting in galleries?
I think I just always allowed myself the room to evolve as an artist and to change.
I'd probably kill someone. No, I'd probably kill someone.
Well, the journey is a kind of a metaphor for my travels through the creation of my work and how it evolves from one painting to the next.